The Rune was discovered beneath black ice, deep in the untamed barrens north of the fjords. It wasn't buried by hand. It was swallowed by the earth, trapped as if the land itself were trying to digest an ancient sin. The men who pulled it from the permafrost claimed the ice screamed when their picks struck home. They vanished before the first thaw, leaving nothing behind but a circle of frozen footprints that led nowhere. The local priests saw the stone and trembled. They didn't see a relic. They saw a wound. They claimed the Rune was alive, and that it was thirsty. Whenever the moon hung full and cold over the mountains, the carved symbols would soften, and a thick, dark ichor began to leak from the stone. It didn't smell like iron. It smelled like a grave that had never been closed. Desperate to contain the rot, the villagers built a sanctuary of prayer directly over the site. They lowered the stone into a subterranean vault, bound it in chains forged in holy water, and sealed the crypt with a massive stone slab. They thought the weight of the church would keep the darkness down. They thought the silence of the stone meant the evil had finally died. For generations, the seal held. But then came the winter of the Great Frost, a winter so cold the birds froze mid-flight. In the deep silence of the church, a new sound emerged, a low, metallic groan. The holy chains weren't just rusting, they were being dissolved. Overnight, the iron turned to a brittle, red powder, as if something from below were breathing acid onto the locks. The villagers huddled in the pews, their prayers a frantic whisper against the dark. But the church no longer felt like a sanctuary. It felt like a drum. Beneath the floorboards, something was pacing. It wasn't the sound of feet. It was the sound of heavy, wet weight being dragged over stone. Then came the scratching, sharp, constant, like 1,000 claws testing the wood for a soft spot. During the final midnight prayer, the candles didn't just flicker, they bled out. One by one, the flames turned a sickly violet and died. Then the walls began to weep. Not water, but the same dark, warm blood that had once stained the Rune. It poured from the mortar, drenching the icons of the saints, turning the house of God into a slaughterhouse of stone. The head priest fled to the archives, searching for a way to turn back the tide. He found a fragment of a saga no one was meant to read. The Rune wasn't a curse upon the land. It was a seal on a gateway. The Vikings hadn't buried the stone to hide it. They had used it to plug a hole in the world. And by bringing it into the church, the villagers hadn't protected themselves. They had invited the gatekeeper to dinner. The sound of the seal breaking was louder than a winter storm. The iron snapped, the stone slab pulverized, and the crypt door didn't just open. It was thrown upward with such force it shattered the altar above. From the black throat of the earth, a thick, freezing fog began to pour, smelling of salt, blood, and 1,000 years of hunger. The priest descended into the vault with a trembling torch. The pedestal was empty. The Rune was gone. But it hadn't been stolen. The marks on the walls told the true story. Deep, jagged gouges in the solid granite that led upward toward the surface. Whatever had been trapped with the Rune wasn't just free. It was standing right behind him. The village didn't survive the night. Travelers who pass by the ruins now say the ground itself feels hollow. They say that even in the heat of summer, the church ruins remain covered in a thin layer of frost. And if you put your ear to the cold stone, you can hear it. Not just moving, but breathing. A wet, labored sound that vibrates in your very bones. They say the creature is still there, down in the dark, waiting for the church to be rebuilt, waiting for a new congregation to provide it with a reason to come back up, because the knocking hasn't stopped. 3 heavy thuds against the floorboards, every midnight, a reminder that some things don't stay buried. They just wait for the light to go out. Subscribe. Odin will send a raven when the next legend is born.